We have today a very special guest, Mr. Amish Tripathi.
And the sad part is post-independence in 1947, our establishment historians did not decolonize this narrative, they continued with it. Because of this obsession with Delhi, I'm not anti-Delhi.
Why did you choose the Cholas specifically and why now?
मतलब our ancestors would be, what would they be thinking in heaven? कि इन गधों के लिए हमने इतने sacrifices किए. Indians are comfortable with a different interpretation of stories. Controversy में बस कुछ controversy खड़ा कर दो वो अपने आप it takes off. It's an easy way to sell.
Now tell us about the nature of retribution and the dharma of your storytelling.
Once freedom of expression dies, it's a matter of time before the scientific spirit dies.
Hello and welcome to Indian Express Online. We have today a very special guest, Mr. Amish Tripathi, who is one of India's most prolific authors, and he has written the Shiva Trilogy, the Ram Chandra Series, the Indic Chronicles, and his works have sold more than 8 million copies and have been translated in over 20 languages. He has also been a diplomat, a broadcaster, and a voice bringing India's history and mythology to global conversations through his novels, documentaries, and now even video games. His latest book, The Chola Tigers, takes us deep in the world of India's greatest yet often overlooked dynasties, the Cholas. Warriors, visionaries, empire builders, and artists. The Cholas shaped trade, culture, and geopolitics over Asia, and their legacy still resonates 1,000 years later. In this conversation, we'll explore why their story matters, how fiction can reclaim forgotten histories, and what lessons the Cholas might hold for India today. Amish, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Your new book, The Chola Tigers, uses the historical plunder of Somnath as its catalyst. Why does this specific event, centuries later, still hold a powerful grip on our collective memory?
There was a tide of history over the last 1500 to 2000 years when many of the ancient cultures, what are called pagan cultures today, goddess worshippers, nature worshippers, idol worshippers, atheists, many of them were wiped out. They were invaders who went around the world wiping out many of such cultures. The Turks, Arabs, Mongols, Portuguese, Dutch, British, French, and these invaders came to India too.
Yes.
They did wipe out many other cultures in the world. They couldn't wipe out India, but there were grievous wounds put on the soul of Mother India. And yes, Somnath Ji was not the first Indian temple to be destroyed. The first one was actually the Sun Temple at Multan, which the Arabs had destroyed. But that didn't trigger a wave immediately over the next few centuries. In fact, that Sun Temple was rebuilt very quickly. And the Arabs who came to rule themselves actually got Indianized very fast. They'd actually minted coins with Sanskrit on one side and Arabic on the other.
Interesting.
And when the Turks invaded, they thought the Arabs were apostates as well and killed many of them too. Somnath Ji was a new wave of destruction, and that was the moment when the invasions began in much more serious earnest. In that sense, Somnath Ji was actually a turning point. Post that, over the next few centuries, many Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, Sikh worship places across the north were destroyed by these invaders. You find very few ancient temples standing in the north. You only find the ruins. To find really ancient temples, you have to go to the south, where the invaders didn't reach that deeply. And they attacked, actually, as I said, many Arab things also who they found apostates. So in that sense, Somnath Ji was really a turning point in our history, and which is why perhaps the mind goes back out there.
Interesting, sir. So, in historical and cultural discussions, how do we distinguish between invaders who seek to control and conquer and settlers who aim to integrate and build? That is an ongoing discussion in India,
True.
the distinction.
Very true. I think the best way to do it is to look at the contemporary texts of the invaders themselves.
All right.
You know, one of the things we've learned in the modern day is to respect the self-identification of people
Correct.
rather than us forcing our own interpretation
Yes.
on them. So, the British came up with the formulation that they call British colonial rule the British Raj,
Correct.
not the Christian invasion.
That's
But
true.
the Turkic colonial rule was very mischievously called the Islamic invasion, giving the impression that Indian Muslims were ruling Indian Hindus at that point of time, which is not true.
Right.
Indian Muslims are as oppressed as the Indian Hindus by these foreign Turkic invaders.
Right.
Just like Indian Christians were as oppressed as Indian Hindus and Indian Muslims during the British rule. Right? And the sad part is post independence in 1947, our establishment historians did not decolonize this narrative, they continued with it.
Yeah.
Turkic colonial rule in our history books was still called the Islamic invasion. Now, how did the contemporary Turkic invaders, those who we call Delhi Sultans
Yes.
and Mughals, they didn't call themselves Mughals, by the way.
Yeah.
They called themselves Temurid. We call them Mughal.
Okay.
Temurid, descendant of
Yes.
Temur, the Turk.
Yes.
How did they identify themselves? They clearly identified themselves as Turkic. Just like the British clearly identified themselves as foreigners, as the
Yes.
British. Right? Babur very clearly spoke of what his native homeland was, which was Fargana. He clearly spoke of his disdain, even hatred for India, and that the only reason to come here is there's just so much money here, and that he wanted to loot it. Tariq Farishte, Babar Nama, there are enough texts, contemporary texts that they wrote at that time where they identify themselves. So we should go with their self-description.
Right.
And even our ancestors who fought those invaders, like the Rayas of Vijayanagar
Yeah.
or Chhatrapati Shivaji, they didn't call those invaders Muslims. They used to call them Turushka.
Right.
It's Sanskrit for Turk.
Right.
I guess both sides were very clear early on. It's just in our contemporary India that we're a little confused. And we think Akbar looks like Prithviraj Kapoor and Alauddin Khilji looks like Ranveer Singh
That's really sad.
and spoke Urdu.
Yeah.
They did not speak Urdu. Urdu is our language. They spoke their language, which is Turkic or Persian.
So, what is the reason for these misconceptions? You have spoken about, that our history books have not done justice to certain parts of Indian history, certain segments, certain regions. Who is to blame for for this rampant misunderstanding of certain historical figures?
I don't want to get into a blame game, but
Yeah.
what are the trends that you see? One I spoke of already.
Yeah.
British colonial rule, not called Christian invasion.
Yeah.
Turkic colonial rule called Islamic invasion. It's a very mischievous
Yeah.
formulation if you think about it. The other thing is, I think the obsession with Delhi in our history textbooks, particularly the history of the last 1,000 years, the last 1,300 years. Like anything that is of note happened largely between Khyber and Agra, apparently, according to our history textbooks.
Yeah.
बाकी देश में तो कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा था, apparently.
Right.
I'm sure in your history textbooks you would have remembered a few chapters with the title actually saying "Meanwhile in the South." I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean,
Postscript, really.
yeah, what nonsense.
Yes.
And I'd said this in South India, in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka,
Right.
that South at least got a meanwhile in the South.
Yeah.
But West India, Central India, East India, Northeast India didn't even get that. Marathas completely ignored, the Parmars completely ignored, Gurjar Pratiharas, Hoysalas, the Sindhis, Karkotaks of Kashmir, Palas, Buddhist Palas of Bengal, Gadwals, Ahoms, all ignored. West, Central, Eastern, Northeastern, Kashmir, all ignored. which is very unfortunate. Kalinga, all ignored. We don't get a complete understanding of our land
Yeah.
because of this obsession with Delhi. I'm not anti-Delhi, it's an
Yeah.
important part of India. So it must be, Khyber to Agra is an important part,
Yeah.
must be covered, I'm not denying that, but it's not the only important part. There are other important parts too.
True.
And we must cover that too in our history books. I don't know why this happened post 1947, but the time has come to change it.
So you talk about resistance. While most of our history books, again, they spoke of various invasions. So is it that history has been written by the victors and that has continued on? Nobody's talking about the other side.
I mean, I can understand if the victors won
Yeah.
and then they wrote their version of history. Here, perhaps the only land where the indigenous people won. Our resistance was successful. This is the longest resistance in human history. No other indigenous group has. These same invaders who came to India went to other parts of the world too. All the parts that they went to, all those indigenous ancient cultures are all dead. They're all finished. Aztecs, Mayas, Native Americans, Pharaonic Egypt, Greco-Romans, Celts, all dead. We're the only ones. Zoroastrian Persia, all dead. And Zoroastrian survive in India, not in Iran. Right?
Yes.
India is the only indigenous culture that survived. The only one which fought so long and so hard. And now the descendants of the survivors of those brave, courageous resistance fighters are celebrating the invaders. And this needs a collective psychoanalysis. Which culture does this? And the French celebrate the French resistance, which lasted just 4 years and frankly wasn't even successful. The Nazis ruled them completely and they were saved by the Allied. They didn't really win. This is the greatest resistance ever in human history that any indigenous group has fought. And all the invaders, all the great invaders, they all came here. We survived every single one of them. We are still here. Our culture is still standing. And after all these sacrifices by these invaders, we modern Indians are celebrating those invaders. लानत है यार हम पे. क्या बेवकूफ लोग हैं. मतलब our ancestors would be, what would they be thinking in heaven? कि इन गधों के लिए हमने इतने sacrifices किए. We don't even have to fight. Our ancestors fought. All we have to do is remember. हमसे उतना भी नहीं हो पाएगा क्या? It's sad.
So, sir, you have decided to help remember the Chola dynasty. Why did you choose the Cholas specifically, and why now?
So, look, the Indic Chronicles is a part through this series of books. I want to celebrate and commemorate our ancestors, the stories of our ancestors who fought those invaders over a 1,000-year period. And I'll be covering many brave warriors like this. The previous book in the Indic Chronicles was Legend of Suheldev, the story of King Suheldev who fought the Ghaznavid army. This is on a surgical strike and assassination squad that was ordered by Emperor Rajendra Chola to kill Mahmud Ghazni. There'll be many other stories I want to cover. Lachit Borfukan, Bakka Rani, Martanda Varma, Vinchenama, so many. Rani Durgavati. And I hope to write all of them. Essentially, the Indic Chronicles will celebrate this great Indian resistance. That's what I hope to do. Now, why the Cholas? Because Emperor Rajendra Chola was contemporaneous with Mahmud Ghazni. So, and he was the most powerful man on earth at that point of time, Emperor Rajendra Chola.
I wanted to ask you this. You mentioned that in your book as well. What makes you see he was the most powerful?
Look, till the 11th century, India was around 35% of the world's GDP for all of the first millennium. And there's not some WhatsApp gyan, there's the figures of Angus Madison, who's perhaps the greatest economic historian ever. And his data of the last 2,000 years of economic movement across the world is used as reference material across. even by scholarly university papers. Um, Now, large parts of this wealth was actually because of the trade routes, wasn't because of farming.
Right.
It was actually because India dominated global trade routes. The greatest trading powers of that era were the Abbasid Caliphate,
Right.
then the Chola Empire and the Song Empire of
Right.
China.
China.
But Emperor Rajen Chola, not only did he conquer most of South India, which his father, Emperor Raja Chola, had, he also conquered East India. That's why he took on the name Gangaikonda Chola. And he conquered most of Southeast Asia as well, Sri Lanka, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. As I often say, the Bay of Bengal was essentially Emperor Rajen Chola's pond.
Yes.
And he was clearly the most powerful man of the time, because the Chola Empire was the largest of its era. It was certainly the wealthiest of its era, and it dominated the trade routes. If wealth is being made through trade, and the only way to trade between the Abbasid Caliphate and the Song Empire was through waters controlled by the Cholas,
Yes.
right? And the Cholas themselves manufactured and exported so much.
Yeah.
They were clearly the most powerful empire of the time.
So you have great ambitions to write these many books, and you have great many projects. As I said, you're the most one of the most prolific authors that I know. How do you manage your research writing these books? I know you have this Immortal Warriors Center. Could you tell us how that works, and how do you manage to remain so productive?
Okay, so firstly, it's the Immortal Writer Center, not the
Right.
Warrior Center.
Sorry.
We don't
Yeah.
fight in there, we write.
Sorry.
What I do is I hire published writers and I make a story summary,
Yeah.
7,000 word summary, and then the writers I work with make the first draft, then I work on it and rework it. That's how it works. So in this book, for example, the writers of the Writer Center were Ram Sankaran, a brilliant writer who's based in the US right now, and Bhavna Roy, my sister. Both of them have worked together. So it is a way I have to kind of expand my capacity, hopefully. In terms of research, look, I'm reading all the time. I read at least 5-6 books per month, and I don't do research for a book. I just keep doing research all the time. Like, I'm learning stuff all the time. What will go into the book, I don't know, right? But I just keep trying to learn stuff all the time. Not just through my reading, but also through traveling and all those. Living itself can be research. Every person that I meet is research in some way.
So you navigate the realm of, you mix history and mythology with fiction. Mythology, which many people believe to be true. It has to be a delicate tightrope, a balance. How do you maintain that in today's world where people are quick to take offense? So,
I think Indians, and history has been witness to this. Indians are comfortable with a different interpretation of stories, as long as it's done with respect. As long as the intention is positive. And that can be evidenced in the book. So even my Shiva Trilogy, Ram Chandra Series, yes, the story may be different. But I would think at least the respect that I have for the gods and goddesses I write on is clearly there, because I actually worship them. I'm not just writing on them. It's the same on the Chola Tigers and King Suheldev. I try and write uniting stories. I don't write divisive stories. I don't try and encourage quote unquote Hindu-Muslim fights in there. In fact, both Suheldev and Chola Tigers shows Hindus and Muslims coming together to fight a foreign invader. I do love my country. I'm a very patriotic person. That doesn't mean that I think everything about India is perfect. There are many things that need to be improved, and I speak of whatever I think needs to be improved. I write that too. But at least I think my love for our land, my deep love for our land, I think it comes through in my books. So I think even if you write a different interpretation, if you write with respect, most Indians actually accept it. Indians are open-minded, and if you write with that aim of creating controversy, then controversy ho jata hai. And sadly, many artists do that because it's a very easy way to do marketing. I'll be honest. It's much harder to sell without controversy.
Yeah.
You have to do so many more interviews.
Yes.
You have to do it's hard work.
Yeah.
And controversy में बस कुछ controversy खड़ा कर दो वो अपने आप it takes off. It's an
Right.
easy way to sell.
Right.
And the evidence of the pudding is in the eating. I mean, I've been writing for 15 years. I'm sure you haven't heard of any controversy around me.
No.
I don't think any of your crew would have either.
That's
And that's the evidence, of the case I'm putting up. There's nothing special about me. It's something special about India.
Right.
I think Indians can sense that you've done it with respect. Look at Bahubali.
Yeah.
If you went to a Bollywood film director, Hindi film director, and told him to shoot a scene where the main hero breaks the base of a shivling and then carries it on his shoulders and then walks up to a waterfall and puts it under a waterfall. If you told a Hindi film producer in Mumbai this or director कि ये बनाओ, they said पागल हो क्या मेरा घर जल जाएगा. But in the hands of Rajamouli, a scene like this is one of the most iconic scenes in Indian cinema, and we Shaivites love it even more, right?
Yes.
Why? Because I think Rajamouli ji's respect, you can see it, right? And you can see there are pictures, videos of him going to a temple.
Yeah.
You can clearly see the way he's doing the rituals, etc. He's actually a devout person.
Yeah.
He's not doing it for. There are some people who are doing it for photo ops. We all know.
Yes.
रुद्राभिषेकम ऐसे कर रहे हैं, मतलब देख रहा है कि कभी जिंदगी में क्या नहीं है. He's just doing it for a photo op. But with Rajamouli ji, you can see it. He's clearly a devout person, clearly a patriotic person. And when he makes a scene like this, Indians appreciate it. So I think Indians see the intentions that you have rather than the interpretation that you're making.
That's interesting. Sir, we spoke about WhatsApp, rampant WhatsApp university. So, as somebody who presents historical facts while mixing fiction, right? How do you prevent things from being mangled? How do you manage doing that?
Okay, this is look. There's a very it's a topic that needs a nuanced answer, right? Because is there a lot of nonsense that goes around on WhatsApps?
Yes.
Both on the left wing and the right wing, sadly true, right? And if I'm writing, I write non-fiction as well.
Yes.
Non-fiction, I clearly put the references, put what my things are, because that's a non-fiction book.
Yes.
When I write a story, I say it very clearly. This is historical fiction, boss.
Right.
Like I put facts in there, but it's like Mughal Azam was historical fiction,
Yeah.
right? Or Braveheart was historical fiction. I make it very clear, so I'm not misleading. Among the challenges that happen is when people put straight out nonsense as fact rather than that this is my fictional story.
Right.
This does happen. How do you combat this?
Yeah.
Is it causing chaos in the world? And from both sides, इसमें दोनों a pox on both the houses, left wing extremists and right wing extremists.
Right.
What is the solution? An easy solution can be that those of us who are in the center, the vast majority, say maybe you should have some censoring, maybe you should have. That sounds like an easy solution. I would always argue against it because it's a very slippery slope. Moment you start putting curbs on freedom of expression because you want the right view and not right as in left right as in the correct view, to be propagated, then who decides? Who becomes a censor?
Right.
Who decides what is going to be acceptable, what is not?
Yes.
And it's a very slippery slope. We've seen that in the US, we've seen that in the UK. I mean, I was living there, people are being arrested for social media posts. क्या पागलपंती है ये, right? It's a very slippery slope. I am a supporter of freedom of expression, which it's a much harder route, which means that if someone is putting out nonsense, those of us who disagree must do the hard work of putting our point of view across and trying to convince people. It's much harder work, right? But this is the one that will last longer, because moment a society agrees to censoring, a moment a society agrees that this is blasphemous talk, it cannot be allowed. This is hate speech, it cannot be allowed. This is a cancelable thing and you'll be cancelled. Moment you start doing that, you are lost as a society. Because then freedom of expression dies. Once freedom of expression dies, it's a matter of time before the scientific spirit dies.
Yeah.
And Pakistan was the same land as India. Have they made any scientific invention? Because they have clamped down on freedom. Moment you clamp down on freedom of expression, everything starts collapsing. This is one of the most precious values to keep alive. So trust me, at times like this, it sounds very enticing. Censorship board laga do. Let's control the nonsense. Trust me, it's a slippery slope. It should never be done. Do the hard work of actually arguing, debating, going door to door and getting your point of view across. That is the correct approach. That's the long-term approach.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you have chosen an ensemble of heroes from across the subcontinent. Now, tell us about the nature of retribution and the dharma of your storytelling.
That's a good point, because is vengeance dharmic? India is among the oldest pacifist traditions in the world. Jainism is the oldest pacifist ideology in the world, pacifist religion in the world. In Jainism, violence is not condoned under any circumstances. Even if you're facing death, you have to quietly accept it and pray for the criminal about to kill you, but you cannot hit back. That's Jainism. My wife is Jain, so that's good news for me.
Right.
But there is a reality of the world as well. If a society is composed of only Jains and an outsider attacks, then what do? Do you just die out? Does that precious civilization just die out because it cannot fight back? There's no doubt that a commitment to non-violence creates beauty. It creates a civilized society. But you also need strong people to protect that precious thing.
Right.
You need warriors who are able to fight. You can have the freedom of being non-violent only if there's someone standing in front of you who loves you and who's willing to be violent to protect you. Because there are always invaders who will come from outside. That's the nature of the world, right? If there's something precious, others will come to loot it. Which is where vengeance and violence can become dharmic.
Yes.
When you're not going abroad to conquer and loot, but you're willing to be violent to protect that which is precious, to protect the precious that stands behind you. And which is why our ancestors had an approach, ahimsa paramo dharma, but they also had a second line, dharma ahimsa tathaivcha, that violence for the good of dharma is good. And an ideal society needs a mix of both. Needs a mix of the non-violent people who will create that beauty and culture, and dharmic violent people. And dharma is not religion, it's beyond religion, it's above religion, right?
True.
Dharmic violent people who will use their strength to protect that which is precious, not to loot that which is precious. You need both. That is the kind of society India had.
There's a question I think I missed earlier. You talk about Bharat, right? Recently there was a whole controversy on what is Bharat. Is Bharat the same as India, or was Bharat a different entity of ancient times?
The way our ancestors described it, Bharat was actually the entire Indian subcontinent. There are some who say the British created India, which is actually nonsense, it's not true. Our ancestors created India. There are enough textual evidences of it. I just quoted the Vishnu Puran, there are various others. Even the foreigners used to acknowledge. There is this book, series of books called The India They Saw by Meenakshi Jain, where she translated travelogues by foreign travelers who'd come to India over the last 3,000 years, from ancient Greek and Rome till modern British times. And all those foreigners, the moment they used to enter what our Indian borders are, like entering Balochistan, they'd say, I have entered Indica.
Yeah.
Or Lankans, 1500 years ago,
Yeah.
Buddhist Lankans, moment they crossed over into Tamil lands close to the Vaigai river,
Right.
okay, they went down on their knees and kissed the ground saying, we are in the land where Gautam Buddha was born. Gautam Buddha was born in the Indo-Nepal border, 2000 kilometers away. And they were just across the Pok Straits, 50 kilometers.
Yeah.
But they knew that the Tamil lands is the same as the Indo-Nepal border,
Yeah.
where Gautam Buddha was born. This is what the Lankans thought. Enough textual evidence that we were one land.
Yeah.
But yes, all these texts refer to the Indian subcontinent.
Yes.
Right? So, from Afghanistan, Balochistan in the west, to Kanyakumari in the south, to the borders of Myanmar, Burma in the east,
Yeah.
Kashmir, Nepal, some parts of Tibet as well, those were called Uttar Kuru. This was our ancient conception of Bharatvarsh. Now it is reduced to India. But yeah, that's the way it is. We are the India that is Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It's a wrap. Thank you so much, sir, for giving
Thank you.
us your time. And it was such a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.